Looking at where titles are won and lost on the back of games such as Liverpool versus Arsenal is probably not the way to go about making a video. But if you look at the end of the season and you look at head-to-heads and you even look at, goal difference, all these kind of things, the head-to-heads matter quite a lot in a tight title race just like this. Arsenal obviously going to Christmas top of the table, and that has very often been an indicator whether you'll win the Premier League or not come the end of the season. But there are two teams immediately behind, 1 point behind them. Spurs find themselves 4 points behind, and City have a game in hand and they're 6 points off the top. And we know how City can be, especially after watching them win the World Club Cup. Different game to this. Very different game. This was a game where we were going to see the difference between Liverpool last season and Liverpool this season. Arsenal last season and Arsenal this season. And the differences between the two sides have been quite stark in other games. But in this game, it was quite interesting to see what stayed and what's moved on, especially in the Jurgen Klopp 2.0 era and the progress of whatever Mikel Arteta is doing at Arsenal, which is also very admirable. They both started the game relatively strong. I'd say Liverpool, I still think, have issues in terms of, I actually quite liked Wataru Endo, but I wouldn't say he's their preferred 6 in a game like this. I actually think the other two are probably the strongest midfield starters right now, and I'll explain why in a minute. I was asking for Curtis Jones to start in this game. Ibrahim Konate, this one. Sadly, Tsimikas now out. That's 4 out of the 5 of the back line, I'd say I'd take as the starting 11. And then I think most people only really have changeable ideas about these two. So a strongest starting 11 isn't really what Liverpool are putting out right now. There are 2 units, as was spoken about in previous iterations of Liverpool this season. And it depends whether you want what kind of control you want, what kind of Liverpool you want to see out there. And, that is reflected in the way that Liverpool play, but also reflected in the way they set up. This is one way of looking at Liverpool. This is the other way of looking at Liverpool in this game. You can clearly see the 2 centre-backs at the back, and you can clearly see the team is stretched out to the point where Mo Salah, who probably was a bit more like here, although probably here actually, is probably where he picked up the goal roughly from. But overall, he moved into the middle as the game went on, right? And possibly Liverpool needed a little bit more width out there. Possibly Liverpool needed to be stretching Arsenal just a little bit more. Liverpool were trying to be very direct come the end of the game, and it actually suited Gabriel and Saliba at the back towards the end of the match after the subs. But early on, Liverpool, especially in the first 10 minutes, Liverpool really struggled to get to grips with what Arsenal were doing. You could tell there was a little bit of nervousness about facing the champions potentially come the end of the season. And Arsenal, the way they set up, I think it's hard to say that isn't Arsenal's strongest starting 11, apart from maybe the 2 fullbacks. You could make a case for their 2 fullbacks, and obviously, depending on who you like as the goalkeeper, but you can clearly see why they're set up in this way. You can clearly see, Gary Neville said it in commentary, I thought it was really bizarre, but he basically said, hey, if you go man for man, then this Liverpool side can't beat Arsenal, or Arsenal can easily beat this Liverpool team, or they'll feel confident. And I thought that plays perfectly into what Liverpool play on so much, and not only this season, but have always played on. Do you know what they've always played on? The idea that, hey, yeah, you can beat us, but we can also beat you. So when you come out confident, when you come out hot, Arsenal obviously scored very early on and got a goal from what I would describe as fairly sloppy Liverpool set piece. Like, it's very rare that you'll see Liverpool caught out like that. Usually very good at pulling out, usually very good at controlling that back line. And I think it was Cody Gakpo that played a couple of people onside, but the scorer onside. And I also think there was another player at the back post who was playing someone, but I can't remember who it was at this point. Anyway, as the game then moved on, what I would observe about both teams is both sides let the other settle just at the moment where you thought, right, now push the blade in, now do something about this game. You've got the control. Arsenal had the control. They could have been 2-0 up. They could have been, I think 2-0 probably would have been fair after the first 15 minutes, which is what it was last year. And this is my point, the difference between this year and last, right? But Liverpool slowly played their way into the game, and you could see they've got the balance. I definitely think the constitution in this midfield, and why I say I wouldn't play Wataru Endo and why I think he is not their preference, are 2 different things. Endo played his way into the game. Early on when there was the pressure, when the other teams were putting Liverpool on the back foot, it doesn't feel so good watching him. But as you see Liverpool get more and more control, and you see a couple of players pouncing on each player, winning the ball back, turning it around really quickly, either with Curtis Jones and Endo, either with Szoboszlai and Endo. Szoboszlai, by the way, very silky, but excellent at winning the ball back. Really big figure, really imposing, very good at crunching into a tackle, very good at getting his leg around someone, very good at basically playing the player and getting his one-on-one matchup, and then having an Endo or someone pick up that stray ball. It really disrupts the opposition. Liverpool disrupted Arsenal even marginally and played their way into the game. It was that stopper of Endo and Szoboszlai that got Liverpool back into this. And I definitely think Van Dijk and Konate at the back really helped with that feeling for Liverpool. There is almost a box that Liverpool play around in, and then they've kind of got a couple of people that sort of just run through the box, and then Tsimikas plays on there. I thought Liverpool looked for the outball to a wide-ish Salah a couple too many times, and I get why they're doing it right now. I get that, you can obviously push them onto the two centre-backs, stretch out Arsenal, don't let them get on the front foot. But at the same time, there were times where I thought, are we not providing the service we need to someone like Cody Gakpo? Are we not giving him... There were a couple of times where you're like, he was making the right run. Could we just play the right ball? Maybe it was too light, maybe it was too fast. You could see what Liverpool were trying to do. But it was because we were working out into a wide position and then back inside here, and then maybe even there, where you get a bit frustrated. It's frustrating, shall we say, for Liverpool that they couldn't pull off that final ball. But here we are, right? Diaz on the other side, I didn't feel like he struggled, but I definitely felt like there was who is our best left-sided player at this point for Liverpool? Who is the guy that we are going to rely on? Jota wasn't available. Again, another game similar to the United game where I felt if we could have changed things up a little bit more out there, if we could have had possibly even Nunes come on for Gakpo and then him hook up with Diaz, we might have seen maybe just a little bit more joy. I still think maybe we're misdiagnosing that. Diaz maybe looks a little bit stronger if he has someone like an Andy Robertson behind him. He was playing back towards form. I hope his knee is all right. But overall, I actually think Liverpool gave a very good account of themselves in this game. And really, given the things such as the early penalty shout where Odegaard was falling. Now, let's talk about this for a second. The Odegaard falling thing, first of all, a lot of people saying, well, it wasn't in the box, or it wasn't in the box, or where was it? Doesn't really matter. I mean, it does, because maybe one you can overwrite the referee's decision, the other one you move on. I personally feel like Odegaard handballing it there is a result of basically Salah putting him in a blender and moving him all over the place. So I don't see how it feels fair to... It just doesn't feel fair to me that you can go, okay, yeah, well, he was falling over. It's like, yeah, the reason he's falling is because the other player was so much better than him in that specific position. If that's a defender, I feel like we're actually a lot harsher on those players. And our analysis, not VAR, but our analysis goes, well, that guy's meant to be defending against Salah. Should he not be standing up, doing something more than just falling over? And his hand looked kind of led towards the ball. Some people could argue that it equaled out in the game. I don't really subscribe to any of this equaling out stuff, but you could argue it was equaled out in the game by Trent pushing Kai Havertz in the box or possibly bundling into him. Kai maybe looked like he was already on his way down at that point, but I'd say there was one that felt a lot more obvious to me. Having said that, I think Liverpool had a number of interesting performances today, right? And we can go through a couple of them. Cody Gakpo, I still think movement-wise, he's very switched on. He's very good at hooking up. There were times where off the ball, out of possession, he felt maybe slightly too deep, but clearly Klopp had told him, drop very deep, cover, cast a big shadow, make Rice's passing options difficult, and let the two wide guys do what they needed to do for Liverpool. There are questions, if Liverpool started with the Nunes and then brought on Gakpo later, which I kind of like at the moment, I don't know whether you guys like that as well, could they have had a bit more of a late push up into the box, you know what I'm saying. I felt like Alisson actually had one of his worst games this season. I felt like he a couple of times misjudged the flight of the ball or misjudged where he was meant to be. He was caught in no man's land for the goal, whereas maybe if he wasn't indecisive, I feel like if he was as more decisive, he would have gone to the ball, but that would have been bad. And if he's less decisive, maybe that's an easier save for him, or if he's sort of more conservative. Liverpool's backline let Alisson down there, I felt. but it resulted in him not having as good a game. There was another time where I think he was slightly caught out and Martinelli put it wide. It doesn't mean he was a bad player, I just don't think he had a great game. Salah, I think, had one of his better games for Liverpool, although again, there are a couple of times where I said it pre-match, it was like, put him on Zinchenko, put him on that side and just let him run. A couple of times where they were trying to find Gakpo and you would have maybe liked to see Salah cut in with the Gakpo. I don't want to say it wasn't a bad run from Cody Gakpo, but maybe it was to mislead Arsenal rather than actually act on it from Salah. Having said that, Gakpo's scored a couple of these really cheeky dinks, don't mind them. Szoboszlai for me was Liverpool's man of the match. In the middle of the field, he was everywhere. I don't think he was dominant. I think it's very difficult to dominate an Arsenal midfield, which is constitutional of Havertz, Rice, Odegaard. I think he made them nervous, and I think Liverpool overall made them nervous. You could see Odegaard, there were a number of times where he wasn't quite at the races. Declan Rice found it very difficult to be in 5 different positions at once. Kai Havertz had a pretty decent game, actually. I think he gave a good account of himself. But again, they made Arsenal and pulled Arsenal all over the place, not least because Dom Szoboszlai was all over them. Like, there were times, not only on their left side, but also just more centrally as well. He was just making it awkward for people. He brings other people into the game. He brings Konate in, he brings Endo in, he brings Kai Havertz, he brings Curtis Jones in. I think Szoboszlai is more like a Gini Wijnaldum at the moment than he is a Henderson, though Henderson's intensity is very much in there, or he is a Fabinho, or he is even a Thiago. There are times where I would love his decision-making to be just slightly quicker. He holds onto the ball maybe just a little bit too long, fair enough. But also maybe he's looking for the attack to evolve a little bit, and Liverpool need to evolve their attacks a little bit quicker in front of Szoboszlai at the moment. He also allows this guy, vice-captain fantastic, to sit there and do what he needs to do. A couple of amazing balls today from Trent Alexander-Arnold out. Trent could have and probably should have scored that counter-attack where it was like 5-6 players on one player and Liverpool were just streaming forward. Sometimes you wonder if Liverpool had just had Trent there or just had another player, whether that would have been a slightly less complex pass, and maybe if Trent had had a more seamless path to goal, we would have seen something a little bit different. But let's see. I mean, we will never see, but you guys let me know in the comments is what I mean. What I'm saying is, I think Trent is brilliant. I think there are a couple of times where Martinelli got the better of a number of people. I think the way that Liverpool now deal with anyone coming in is they let Trent kind of face them up, and then Konate will come in and double team, or will take charge of it and do whatever he needs to do. It's a pretty efficient way at the moment of doing it. Sometimes it leaves Liverpool slightly lopsided. Sometimes it leaves Liverpool with a run on the inside, like just on the inside of Konate and Van Dijk, where Van Dijk would have to come over. It feels exploitable. And that's where I kind of want to get into Arsenal, just for a second. Arsenal didn't exploit Liverpool enough today. Pep Guardiola will probably have been watching that and been very happy with it, because the two teams, they went punch for punch. Arsenal don't want to go punch for punch against Liverpool. Liverpool want them to go punch for punch. But at the same time, they didn't exploit enough of Liverpool's weaknesses. They didn't exploit enough of the gaps that opened up for Liverpool. And it was because you underestimate Liverpool if you just go tactically, this is what Arsenal will do. This is what we should do. This is how we should line up. This is how we should make this guy feel awkward. Because you underestimate Liverpool. Underestimate Liverpool at your peril this season. James Alcott said it. I've said it. A number of people have said it in the pre-season previews. Liverpool will be a side that score a lot of goals or put a lot of opportunities out there or put you on the back foot because of their opportunities to create. They have opportunities to create opportunities. Does that make sense? And very often it doesn't matter. There's just a high volume of chance creation rather than clear-cut chances. And one of them, if you're Liverpool, will come off. But within that, what they want you to do is play into that. And Arsenal played perfectly into that. Arsenal played Liverpool the way Liverpool want to be played, the more the game went on. And there are a couple of times where you just thought, they've kind of slipped into what they did last season here, where they didn't quite get their foot on the ball enough. They didn't quite get into the right positions. They kept playing into Liverpool's hands, kept playing into Van Dijk's areas, into the centre-back areas, into more convenient areas for Liverpool. Liverpool able to mop up and go the opposite way. Doesn't mean that I don't think Arsenal won't be potential title winners, and obviously I would love if Liverpool could win the league, but I think Arsenal at the moment are the strongest candidate. I think the account they gave of themselves, they will be disappointed by what they did against Liverpool today. They will, as will Liverpool actually, by the way. A couple of games where Liverpool have been disappointed now, United and Arsenal. But I feel like Arsenal at the moment are champions-elect in the league. Liverpool will be disappointed by a few, not showings individually, but a few showings now where it's like, did we quite create enough? Obviously they hit the bar. Obviously they hit the post through Harvey Elliott. I love what Elliott's doing at the moment when he comes on. He's a really great player. But what I do think is, with the compromises that Liverpool had to make through taking off Tsimikas through an injury, I don't think that was a foul at all from Saka. I just think he was well entitled to go for the ball. Through not quite being able to play Gravenberch early on, although when Gravenberch came on, he had a couple of decisions where he went, should he have gone the other way? I would have kept Curtis Jones on for the full 90 in that very same position, maybe not muddle up with a couple of other people. And I also think that in this game, we didn't quite get it right in this attacking area here. Like, Salah got it right, and we could have had a counter-attack. We didn't quite get it right in the sense that there were a couple of hookups where you go, could we have just had that final ball? And I think Nunez, when he came on, he's great in that position, but sometimes does he want to be in that? He wants to come on and be the hero sometimes. And you can kind of, I don't know, you can kind of see it in his body language, the games where, not where he wants it or doesn't want it, but the games where it's like, you're almost too self-aware of who you are within the team. Come on and just be what we need Nunez to be. I know it's very vague, but what we need him to be is someone who's going to, if he's out on the left, a bit more facilitation, cut in and be chaos. If he's through the middle, be a more direct striker. We needed chaos Nunez today, and he wasn't quite at that. There were a couple of good tackles back here, but not quite at it in the way that we needed him to be. Again, not a massive criticism, but a criticism all the same. All I'd say is, especially with Liverpool, they'll be disappointed that they didn't put away their chances today. Trent had an opportunity to win it there, or at least potentially win it for Liverpool. Should have put that opportunity away. We should have put more opportunities away. We should have peppered Raya a little bit more. We should have made him feel a bit more uncomfortable. A couple of games now where we've had these notes on opposition, and we know what we're meant to do to make them feel uncomfortable, but we don't make them feel uncomfortable enough. And we should, and we haven't. Onana, Raya, others. A couple because we've won the game by a margin, a slight margin, but we still won it by the slightest of margins. But then other games where we're like, cool, well, we didn't really need to trouble him in that way. Like the West Ham game. We won by quite a margin there, 5-1. Which actually reminds me, a piece of reflection I did during the game. I was like, that game was almost the worst game to prepare for the Arsenal game with. We had a series of perfect goals come up. And actually, what we wanted was these imperfect goals that Liverpool are capable of scoring. We want to show the team they're able to fudge it. We want to show the team that they're able to push it into the net. The Cop wasn't quite able to suck it in the second half, but is what it is. That game with West Ham was almost too perfect. It showed and probably gave great confidence to Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, and a couple of others, and Mo Salah. But was it what we wanted? Maybe not. Maybe that was maybe the West Ham game would have been fine if we'd scored against United. Butterfly effects, midnight, whatever. I still think this Liverpool side, and people weirdly will praise Arsenal after this and not Liverpool. This Liverpool side aren't getting enough credit for what they're doing this season with a complete midfield rebuild. Curtis Jones was not a starter last year. Wataru was playing for a side that I think they got relegated. Szoboszlai was playing for a team where he was completely, no one was taking notice of Szoboszlai, at least in terms of hey, that's one of the top transfers of the summer. Clearly a great player. When I profiled him, it was fantastic, but you get my point, right? When Gravenberch came on, again, it's another one of those games, and I said it on someone else's podcast, you see why we bought him, you also see why Munich didn't favour him. And that's down to coaching, that's down to mentality, that's down to space, that's down to all these different things. I think when Liverpool get a couple of their players back, so got some injuries mounting at the moment, and we haven't really acknowledged it, it'll relieve a bit the pressure. I would have loved to see a Jota in this game. He loves playing Arsenal. I would have loved to see Tsimikas finish the full 90. But actually, again, didn't actually bring his picture in here, but he needs credit every game. Joe Gomez has been fantastic in every one of the positions he's played. Played Saka brilliantly, limited his opportunities. What opportunities he did get were not the best opportunities, and I also felt that he was physically imposing, got forward and was brave, despite the fact that he's a right footer playing on the left. Again, Harvey Elliott, very decent performance, couldn't put one away. It's not necessarily Elliott's fault that Klopp changed the formation in the way that he did, but I would have loved to see it change in a slightly different way and see Elliott more here and see Salah more there and then see Nunez more there. If we hadn't have had an injured Diaz, I think we might have seen that. And I think that game is there for Liverpool to win. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I think Arsenal were fantastic again. If Liverpool don't win it, I think I would be very happy to see the Arsenal side win it. But obviously, that's a 1-2 in very much that order. This is the 1-2 very much in this order. Liverpool actually have an equal defensive record and a better attacking record than the people at the top of the table going into this area. The only difference is the draws and the wins. If Liverpool hadn't drawn a couple of games, probably where they should have won, maybe the Man United game. Damn it. Then we would be in a much better position, and we'd be top of the table for Christmas. So close. This team are evolving. This team is someone I'm proud of. This team is someone I love watching. And if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd be saying the same. Arsenal will be disappointed tonight. I think what I can say best about Liverpool, at least they didn't just sit back and compromise everything that they could have had. They played, I'd imagine, in a way that Klopp would have been very proud of. I'll finish on this. Klopp and the team pre-match were very vocal about Liverpool fans needing to come through, Liverpool fans needing to be present. They were very much present for this game. You have to answer with a great performance. This was a good performance. I don't know if it was a great all-time performance, but it was a good performance. Come the end of the season, it might be that when I'm talking about these head-to-heads and all these kind of things, maybe this is a key game. Just staying level with Arsenal, just letting other teams surprise them, letting the season just wear away at them, maybe is a good thing. I felt like it needed to be, there was some good performances, but I feel like the best time is when Liverpool are in symbiosis with the crowd, when they are one with the team, right? At the moment, they feel a little bit other. Say that we won against Man United, maybe Klopp doesn't mention that. But I know Anfield wants to react to Klopp, I know he wants to react to the players. I'm not saying he shouldn't have said the comments. You know, I think Klopp is good at judging that. But there are times where it can feel a little bit othering, a little bit like pushing away, a little bit like, remember, you're the fans with the team, we need something to react to. Well, we need something to react to as well. And there are times where I think, could we have something better, just slightly, like marginally better to react to? That would be good. Anyway, I still think it's a good performance. I just think if you encourage the crowd to do that like that, you have to put a couple of good performances together. Was this good enough? Probably a draw against the people who are front runners. Yeah, it could have been a 2-1 win. And I think that would have felt like we can't be results-based. We have to be evidence-based. And this evidence is, as I said last season, Liverpool are evolving. There is evolution happening. It's progress to win against a number of teams this season and then draw at Anfield. It would have been not progress to lose or draw against a number of teams and then draw in Anfield. So there is progress wider than just this. Having said that, disappointed. Trent could have put that away. Yeah. Oh, man. Fast turnaround now for the Burnley game. Hate playing teams like Burnley because every now and again they switch it on, they do something. Boxing Day, let's get into them. Enjoy it, guys. Have a good Christmas. And if you're not of the Christian faith, which some people who I'm very closely related to are not, then enjoy the festivities of this time of year, however you can, however you like to. And yeah, Happy New Year as well. But I'll get to say that in another video for sure. Much love, guys. Really appreciate you. Have a good day.